Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Hey, it's Storyworthy. Today on the show, comedy writer Mike Reiss from The Simpsons and the What Am I Doing Here podcast talks about why Texas banned his children's book.
The state of Texas has banned my children's book, The Boy Who Looked Like Lincoln. And I don't know why. Nobody's telling me why. And so finally they write to me, this woman wrote to me and said, I loved your book till the last page, which is pure pornography. And I go, what? And we see he's got a baby brother who looks like Dick Nixon, right? And these morons in Iowa, in Mass, and in all of Texas think I called him Dick because he looks like a penis.
Today on the show, comedy writer Mike Reiss talks about why the entire state of Texas banned his children's book. Stay close.
Hey, my name is Mike Reiss, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. If you're a longtime fan of the show or a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week with comedian and author Saadia Azmat. Saadia talked about writing her book, Sex Bomb. And this is interesting because Saadia is a Muslim woman. She's also Indian and British. She lives in London. And we talk a lot about the Muslim culture. We talk about hijabs and burqas. And, it's pretty cool, man. Feminism, yeah, I'm for it. She is not. How about that? Interessante. That's what I say. Anyway, you guys, go back. Listen to Saadia Azmat last week, but not today. Stick with me now, because today I have on comedy writer Mike Reiss. Now, Mike actually told me this story back in 2021, but I'm bringing it to you again today because it is so funny and so interesting. Mike Reiss talks about why the entire state of Texas banned his children's book. And believe me, the reason is dumber and weirder than you can imagine. So I know you guys are going to enjoy this episode. And I wanted to remind you to check out my Life in 3 Songs. It's exclusively on Spotify because I sit down with comedians and we talk about the 3 songs from their life that have impacted them. And then we listen to the song. And I don't steal music, so I'm using Spotify's player. And anybody can hear it for free, completely free. Now, if you do not pay for Spotify's services, then you'll only hear 30 seconds of the song. But you'll still hear the show. If you are a subscriber to Spotify, along with 80 million other people, then you'll hear the whole song. Either way, it's super fun and it's totally free. Head over to mylifein3songs.com. Check out more about the podcast. I've had on 24 comedians so far, and I'm talking top-notch comedians, okay? I just had on Jimmy Pardo and Jamie Kennedy, Patton Oswalt, Judy Gold. I'm talking some big names here, you guys. So go over, listen to my Life in 3 Songs exclusively on Spotify. And I wanted to remind you that Story Smash, the storytelling game show, is going to be back live Saturday, September 23rd. And I've got Danny Zucker, Blanca Patch, and Wendy McClendon Covey. Yeah, you heard me. Wendy McClendon Covey. What a wonderful actress. And let's face it, she's a star. She's amazing. So come on out to the Lyric Hyperion in Silver Lake and enjoy a night of very smart and very ridiculous comedy, all at the same time. Head over to storysmashshow.com and you can get your tickets there. All right, you guys, he's here right now, Mike Reiss. He is a writer on The Simpsons and has been for, 30 years. Like, all I'm saying is he has a lot of swag, okay? He has a lot of Simpsons swag, guaranteed. And he also has a podcast called What Am I Doing Here? And this is because he and his wife travel like not excessively, but like extreme traveling, right? Like they went down in that Titanic sub that imploded. They'd been in that sub before. Now, Mike Reiss likes to describe it as his wife loves traveling and he loves his wife, is what he says. But I'm telling you, on this podcast called What Am I Doing Here? Really, you'll hear some terrific stories from Mike Reiss about places all over the world. Yeah, it's very funny. Another one that strikes me as very funny is when he talks about Costa Rica, because he talks about it being a shithole and so many people love Costa Rica. So it's very funny. Anyway, you guys, Mike Reiss, what a great guy. Please enjoy this story by the very talented Mike Reiss.
All right. Yes, as we mentioned, I've written 20 children's books, and this is a stretch for me because I hate children, but Dr. Seuss hated children, and Maurice Sendak hated children, and Lewis Carroll loved children in a way that's illegal in 48 states. And I said that one night, and a hand went up and asked, what are the 2 states where it's okay? And that's how I met Woody Allen. So I'm going to tell you about the first 2 children's books I wrote. The first one took me 25 years to write. The second one took me 2 hours. Which one is better? They're about the same. So the first children's book came to me, I was 15 years old, and I was watching How the Grinch Stole Christmas for like the 10th year in a row. And I loved it. And I loved it better than anything on TV. And it was back in the days when you just had to wait a solid year to see it again. So I'm 15 years old, and I said, I want to make something as good as this. Now, I never had any dream of being a writer. I certainly never knew I would wind up in animation. I just said, I want to do this one thing with my life. So I just started thinking. And for the next 15 or 20 years, I would just try to think of an original children's book about Christmas, a new Christmas story. And finally, 20 years later, I thought I had it. And I go to a party and I see my friend Pat Verone and I tell him my idea for a children's book. And he said, that was an old SNL sketch. So there's 20 years work down the drain.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So I start thinking again. I put another...
What was that sketch? I got to hear this.
It was a sketch with John Lovitz, who I wound up working with years later, called Hanukkah Harry, about... the Santa Claus of Hanukkah.
Yeah.
So
wow.
So that was it. So I just pitched that aside, and I spent another couple of years trying to come up with a new children's book. And this time I thought of something, and I didn't tell Pat Verone. So I said, all right, if it's out there, I don't want to hear about it. And so then I started writing this children's book, and I wanted it to be perfect. And so I spent 6 years writing 600 words, and I remember I finished it on an all-nighter. I pulled an all-nighter. It was like 5 in the morning. I'm done. I turn on the radio. Howard Stern is on, and his guest was a crazy homeless woman, and he'd been making fun of this homeless woman, and then he says to her, is there anything nice I can do for you? And the crazy homeless woman goes, can you publish my children's book? And Howard goes on this beautiful rant how every idiot in America thinks they can write a children's book. And I remember he said the line, any yenta who tells their kid a bedtime story thinks that could be a children's book. Well, you're all morons. And here I am. I'm that moron. I've just finished my first children's book. And sure enough, he's right. I sent out the children's book to the 12 children's book publishers in America. They all read it. They all reject it. I got personalized rejections on the book. So I'm thinking, there's 30 years work down the drain. And then I find a 13th publisher. It's Price Stern Sloan. The people who do Mad Libs also publish children's books. And I send them the book, and they buy it. And before the book comes out, I said to the editor, I go, how many of these do you think you're going to sell? And he said, in children's books, 9,000 copies is considered a bestseller. 9,000. So my book comes out and it sells 180,000 copies. 180,000. This is the book everyone else had read and rejected. We outsold Harry Potter for 2 weeks. Harry Potter.
Oh my God.
There's the new Harry Potter book. We kicked his butt for 2 weeks. Then the book became an animated special. I got it about 10 years after that. I turned it into an animated special. It aired 40 years to the week from the time I had the original idea. Exactly 40 years. Probably, I wish I could say to the day, but I couldn't look that up. 40 years to the week. It finally comes out. And since then, they've run it every year for 6 years in a row, and they pair it with How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So that would be a lovely story. I should end there, but it's a little sentimental and self-serving. So let me tell you about my second children's book.
Wait, I need to know the name of that.
It's called How Murray Saved Christmas. And
How Murray Saved Christmas, and Murray is the dog.
Murray is a guy who runs a deli at the North Pole. He's a Jewish guy. It was Jerry Stiller in the animated special.
Oh, how perfect.
And that was it. Santa Claus gets knocked out on Christmas Eve. They said, who can deliver the toys? And they look at Murray's Deli, and it says free delivery. So they hire this crabby Jewish guy to deliver the toys all over the world. And he is crabby. And then you see he's got a dark secret past, and he winds up doing a very lovely job. And it's a really nice special. It's a musical, and it's going to be a play. This, again, it was a book that everyone rejected. It's now going to be a musical in London starting in December 1st. So it goes and goes. So
that's so exciting.
It's really been nice. It's been such a pleasure.
Beautiful, yeah.
Anyway, so now let me crap all over my own story with the second, much shorter story. So that was my first book, literally 40 years from conception to hitting TV. This next one came in 2 hours. I'm asleep. I wake up at 2 in the morning. I've had this crazy dream, and because I'm a writer, I have a pad and paper by the bed, and I wrote it down. I went back to sleep, and when I woke up in the morning, I had forgotten all about it. If I hadn't written it down, it just wouldn't have existed. And but it was a story called The Boy Who Looked Like Lincoln. And it's about an 8-year-old boy who looks exactly like Abraham Lincoln. He's got the hat, he's got the beard, he's got the wart. He's Lincoln, and all the other kids at school make fun of him. So his parents send him to a camp for kids who look like things. And he meets a boy who looks like a light bulb, and a girl who looks like a toaster, and 4 kids who look like Mount Rushmore. And in the end, he learns it's not important what you look like. What matters is who you are. Now, that doesn't explain why supermodels make more than school teachers, but what the hell? It's a kid's book. Right? So that's the book. And I write it, I find it that morning, I type it up, I email it to the publisher, he buys it that afternoon. So it took 12 hours from conception to sale. And I'm proud of this book. I'm proud of it because I think it's going to bring comfort to ugly children everywhere. And there are so many ugly children. I know. I've been to Chuck E. Cheese. And so the book comes out, and again, I think I've done something good for the world, and then I start getting hate mail. A librarian in Springfield, Mass., writes to me and says, we pulled your book off the shelves of our school library. A minister in Iowa says, we burned your book in our church parking lot, which is not so bad because before they burn it, they've got to buy it. And then I read in the paper, the state of Texas has banned my children's book, The Boy Who Looked Like Lincoln. And I mean, I'm shocked to hear there are books in Texas. But the entire state has banned my book, and I don't know why. Nobody's telling me why. And finally I get a letter saying, I loved your book By the way, if anyone thinks the story is not true, go to the Amazon page for The Boy Who Looked Like Lincoln. You can see the whole debate playing out on the comments, and it's all 5 stars and 1 star. And so, anyway, so finally they write to me, this woman wrote to me and said, I loved your book till the last page, which is pure pornography. And I go, what? And I spent a month looking at the last page of my book, and finally I see it. It's the last page of the book, The Boy Who Looked Like Lincoln becomes elected class president. And he says, I feel better about myself. I hope I can help my baby brother, Dick. And we see he's got a baby brother who looks like Dick Nixon, right? And these morons in Iowa, in Mass, and in all of Texas think I called him Dick because he looks like a penis.
Was that a great story or what? I know. I'm telling you, Mike Reiss, super smart guy and super funny. I follow him over there on Twitter, and he's really great. He has stayed through the storm of X or whatever is happening over there, but we all pretty much still call it Twitter. Anyway, you can find me over there, by the way, at Storyworthy and at My Life in 3 Songs. Yes, I have 2 Twitter accounts. And you can also find my shows over there on Instagram at Story Smash, at Storyworthy, and at My Life in 3 Songs. All right, you guys, we got to wrap it up. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Really, you listeners out there are the reason why this all works. You know that. I put the stories out for you. You listen to them, and we go round and round and round. And I really appreciate it. So again, don't forget to head over to storyworthypodcast.com and join my mailing list. You will get a short letter from me every 3 weeks. Every time I get around to it. Takes me some time, but you know what? They're fun, they're smart, they're tight. So subscribe to my newsletter. There, you've heard it all. I've pitched my butt off. You're welcome. All right, you guys, one more time on behalf of the very talented Mike Reiss, my name is Christine Blackburn saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
Hello, Saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.